So I guess I'll go. Cool. Hey everyone, welcome to the first office hours, Flatcar office hours of 2025. I think we all know each other, so we could skip the introduction rounds and just start with the agenda. So I'll share my screen. Can you see it?
Yep.
Cool. So we could skip the introduction rounds and just go straight to, like the announcement of FOSDEM. So we will be there. There's a couple of talks. Matthew, maybe you want to introduce that?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. I hope you hear me correctly. So the first weekend of February, it's the FOSDEM. It's a European conference about open source software. And for the first time, we will have a Flatcar booth at this event. So this is great. And it will be shared with Gen 2 folks. So if you want to say hello or just meet the team or talk about Flatcar, whatever, feel free to join us at the stand. And we also have 3 talks during the event. So one is about Flatcar and Gen 2 collaboration. It's Gen 2 Chewy that will do this talk. And we have a RISC-V talk, which is done by Adrian, and it will be about RISC-V support for Flatcar. And also Thilo will give a talk about cluster API, system DCSX, Kubernetes, auto update, and stuff like that in the containers dev room. So yeah, feel free to join us, and we'll be happy to talk with you during the event. And yeah, maybe Thilo, you want to talk about the CO2 monitoring initiative?
Yeah, so a Mastodon user pinged a couple of folks from a couple of distros, and so he's trying to build this initiative where dev rooms actually have CO2 sensors and project at least give local data on the dev room, maybe even collect it centrally to display on a central dashboard. And since we don't really have a full dev room, but we have the booth, I thought, hey, just bring my my sensor to the booth, and for presentation, I actually cooked up a little dashboard, so you'll be able to see this stuff from far away. Let me give you a sneak peek. If I find the share screen button, here it is.
That's great.
1 second. I'm not sure if can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome. So this is CO2, this is temperature, this is humidity, and this is air pressure, and all of that will be charted, and you'll be able to follow that. And not
Cool. We have also a recurring announcement about deprecation of C groups v1. Thilo, maybe you take that one also.
It either me or I just defer at Adrian, because he's been driving the systemd update initiative, where this will be a fallout. So from the Flatcar side, we've been supporting legacy C groups v1 for quite a while. Systemd now loudly dropped support with 256, and we're not in a position to continue support without updating systemd, or even with updating systemd, and we want to have the full the newest version. So this will slowly phase out. Maybe Adrian, a little bit to the implementation side and the update experience.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Very well. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So systemd 256 just landed in Flatcar last month, which means it will be soon in alpha. And that means that any Flatcar upgrade to higher than I think 4,197 something will fail to upgrade. So if you have C groups v1 enabled, so that is very important. We'll see how the alpha goes. And but currently that's how our implementation was done. Otherwise, if we don't fail the upgrade of Flatcar, then the systemd will just panic on boot. So hopefully everyone that wants to upgrade already switched to cgroups v2.
Well, I hope that everyone is following and actually implementing that.
In theory, the newer LTS that has this let's say this backwards incompatibility mode will land I think in a few months or 1 year from now. The next LTS will still support it. So that is how we designed it and planned it.
Okay, I think also the next item is yours, Adrian, about RISC-V. Maybe you would like to share some?
Sure. Let me move to the other screen. I will try to share my screen. Okay. Let me see if you can follow.
Yes, it's good.
Okay, so the RISC-V support for Flatcar Container Linux has actually a FOSDEM relation. Last year, while attending FOSDEM, I saw that RISC-V had a room. There are a lot of good topics then. And at the same time, last year we started to see real hardware, good hardware on the market, and I decided, okay, let's give it a try. So the following months, the last 6 or 7 months, I've been fiddling with how I could add the support for this open source architecture, the RISC-V. And I've just managed to create a Flatcar Container Linux image that fully boots on QEMU, emulated the RISC-V. And I'm going to first give a small demo on how it looks like. So here we have it. This is a VNC QEMU Flatcar running on RISC-V. Let me see if you can see the screen first.
That was a bit anticlimactic, I wanted to see it booting up.
Yeah, I will show it first, then I will do a reboot and see how it goes. I don't want to, let's say, wait quite a while for the emulation to run. But this is it. This is Flatcar running on RISC-V, the RISC-V 64 version. So here it is. And what I've been working, a lot of work has been done on making sure the upstream Gen 2 and our Flatcar, let's say, image build workflow works with what it's already there in Gen 2. To give you let's say an introduction, I've tried first the Gen 2 RISC-V implementation, and it worked with a few hiccups now and then, but it worked. And then I realized, okay, maybe it's not too hard to actually make it work on Flatcar. And it wasn't that hard, but it had there were some, let's say, things that I had to do. We'll follow up shortly on what I had to do. But first, I wanted to show you. So this is the Linux kernel, the RISC-V 64, Flatcar with new board RISC-V, RISC-V USR. And okay, but Flatcar is a container operating system, right? So do we have containers running? Do we have Docker running? Oops. Close enough. So we have Docker running. And of course, do we have systemd sysext running? Okay. The sysx parts are critical for Flatcar to have a working operating system. So we can see them here. We have containerd, we have Docker, we have the OMQEMU, and we have K3s. So why do we have K3s? Because usually people run Kubernetes on Flatcars. So does it work? Kubernetes works on RISC-V. So also working. So I think I implemented all the core functionality, and all the core functionality for Flatcar on RISC-V is working, including Kubernetes. This is an installation of Kubernetes with K3s. And interestingly enough, this Kubernetes RISC-V 64 effort, let's say, I saw it here, it's actually funded by European Union. That's a really, really interesting thing, that European Union invests in RISC-V. So this is as I said, the VNC console. Let's do something like this. So one moment. So if anyone wants to try RISC-V on Flatcar, or Flatcar on RISC-V, there is a release that I created here. Let me share the link too. This is very important because anyone with a QEMU installed can actually try it out. It just requires to have QEMU installed and a few bootloader, let's say, binaries downloaded. You'll have the image here, and also the U-boot binaries. And also, if you want to try it out with Tiano Core EDK2, you can also try that. So both booting processes work, and they work out of the box.
Note the URL.
Sorry?
Note the URL for the EDK2.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chewy. I mean, you have been critical to making this work. Knowing all the Gen 2 bits helped me a lot working to have it working. From a developer point of view, there are a few commits. I think it's around 50 commits I had to do on top of the current Flatcar process workflow, but hopefully we will open a discussion and we'll see. So I imagine a way to have all the, let's say, upstream bits coming from Gen 2 updated in Flatcar, and then I will maintain a fork of the actual build bits so that not to clutter Flatcar main repository. And when there is enough demand, we can just merge one small PR and we just enable it. So that's my my long-term focus. When there's enough traction, we can just pop it out and it will work. There was a lot of work in the SDK part. That was the most of the work Flatcar related, because Flatcar has let's say, a special workflow when building the image. And what was the most, let's say, interesting part was the DM Verity. So actually, everything from Flatcar has not been short-circuited or something like that. It's basically the same workflow, the same Flatcar workflow. I haven't changed anything, including the Verity bits. So, for example, the Verity bits, I have hidden them at a offset of 352. I'll get some, I'd like some feedback on this offset in the VM Linux. But there were no other, let's say, big changes. Oh yeah, and I have a grub 2 some defines also required for that hash offset for RISC-V. That was the most interesting part related to RISC-V, and it's fully working. Let's see. Also the reboot. The console part, it's also working, but I have to apply a ARM64 patch so that we have it also during the initRD, because you will not be able to see anything in the VNC console while it boots during the initRD part. So you see, this is booting with EDK2. No hands attached, no nothing. So now you have a display output is not active because of the patch that it's still to be merged also for ARM64. But at the same time, we can take a look here. Yeah, so this is how it looks from a from the perspective of the console. RISC-V, it's actually the firmware uses OpenSBI, and once the boot console is disabled, the SBI 0, you cannot see in the console anything either. But that's a very small fix. I have to add a kernel argument to also show the logs in the serial console, and it also works. I didn't edit the kernel arguments from the grub. So after a while, it should, after it does the switch root, it should produce output 2 here. Why it hasn't been merged on ARM64 too? Because we have a problem with the boot partition space, and it takes a few kilobytes. So we have to decide if we merge it or not. Questions until the boot process gets active?
I have one quick question. Thanks a lot first for this work. It's quite impressive to see it, and I'm super happy to see an actual demo. Did you get a chance to run it on actual hardware yet?
I'm actually planning to in the process of doing that. So and I will follow the same process like I did with Gen 2. So with Gen 2 and with the LiCiPi board, so I took the OS that works on the LiCiPi and had the same, so basically kept the original OS boot partition with the Linux kernel and DTB, the device tree blobs. And then I used the root OS from Gen 2. So I will try the same thing. Like with ARM64 boards, RISC-V has the same issue that you need a special kernel, special DTB, special VM Linux for each board, basically. So we cannot do that in Flatcar to have an image for each board, right? Because we don't do it for ARM64 either. Okay, so it's booting, hopefully. Oh, and it, yeah, something happened and it failed.
For the record, I have seen it work on my machine, so I know it works at least sometimes.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't. So I think what happened is there's a Linux kernel oops on RISC-V, something related to ACPI QEMU stuff. So probably that's why it failed this time. Once we merged the Linux kernel 6.12, there's a lot more fixes, a lot more support for this hardware implementation. So to conclude with the question from Mathieu, I'm in the process to run it on the LiCiPi, following the same thing as with Gen 2. Reuse the boot partition from a known working OS and just put the Flatcar bits, the rootfs, and a few more things. Otherwise, I'll need to have a special RISC-V kernel config and kernel source. Most of the RISC boards right now have a forked Linux kernel that is working. Some of them also have forked EDK2 or U-boot. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll get it running in a few days by the time I have my presentation at FOSDEM.
I noticed that Gen 2 doesn't have any RISC-V boot media, probably for the same reason, although Debian has an ISO, which I tried. Although I was surprised looking around that the other distros aren't as far along with RISC-V as I thought they were. Like Debian, it's tricksy, so it still hasn't been released yet. Fedora, it's still very unofficial. It's on a weird domain that you download it from. So maybe just being in Gen 2 and seeing all this package being keyworded, I just assumed it was further along than it actually was. So I think we've actually
it
really got ahead of the game here. So it's really nice to see, and thank you.
So the decrypt root service is just failing for no reason. But in rest, everything is fully working, including the Kubernetes parts, which were the most interesting for me. It's very slow, emulated.
Is this the system you're running Teams on?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Oh no!
Oh no, sorry, not Teams.
It's on a very beefy server running with 16 emulated cores, but it's still, it's emulated. But you can see the Kubernetes system working, and containerd, everything. It's perfectly running, including the CNI. All works.
Given kind of the insights that Chewy shared on distro support for RISC-V, maybe we should ping some folks at Scalebase if they'd be interested to help us onboarding Flatcar on their RISC-V offer. I think that they're the first having a RISC-V offer, and if many distros are only just ramping up for that, there might be like a very small selection of actual workloads that you can run on those. So maybe they're interested in broadening the choices there that users have.
I actually have a Scaleway RISC-V server.
Nice.
And they're the only cloud, bare metal provider that offers that. And if I make my LiCiPi 3A work with Flatcar, they are using the same boards on the Scaleway cloud. So
nice.
if I make that work, then it would be 99% working also on their Scaleway servers.
Amazing. I think Mathieu led the communications with Scaleway back in the day when we added support. Maybe we can rekindle some of the contacts.
Yeah, we can give a try. If I recall correctly, a few months ago, I've seen some FreeBSD support on RISC-V, but I think we should try to get back on it to see if they would be interested to have Flatcar.
What I have not seen on any other distribution is how easy, because you have a free Docker, and that opens a lot of possibility. So you have already Flatcar with Docker, and you also have Flatcar with systemd C6 with Kubernetes. So that come out of the box basically with Flatcar. And for example, it was very hard to get something really fast and working for RISC-V. For example, with Gen 2, I had to build Docker.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do we use official Kubernetes binaries, or did you have to build those?
So I'm using the K3s. Basically, I wanted to do the smallest amount of effort, so I used a release of K3s for RISC v64, which seems to be already merged.
Cool.
At least a lot of them merged upstream in K3s. And from what I know, you can also now build kubelet and other Kubernetes parts because it's just a Golang implementation. And actually, Golang is very well supported with RISC-V. Also, what I've been doing a lot with RISC-V is start a Docker container of Alpine. Alpine is also very well, really well supported in terms of Docker images. You can find there everything with RISC-V already compiled. Really good for development. And Flatcar is great because, as I said, you can just run, do Docker run Alpine, and then you can basically have everything library-wise at your disposal already built.
No secure boot yet. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and also Flatcar has DM Verity support. I think it's definitely the first OS with RISC-V support that has that. Yep. That was all. Any other questions?
Well, I guess there are no questions. So thank you, Adrian. That was awesome.
Thank you.
So I think the next item would be with Sayan going through the release board.
I don't see Sayan.
Oh, I see one.
Connected.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you.
Yes. Yeah, I'll share my screen.
Sayan, for joining so late for you.
No worries. It's actually a good timing, given we have set the time, like fixed the time with UTC, or else it goes to 9 p.m. That's even worse. So, but yeah, I'll share my screen. 1 minute. This is usually a bit confusing. Yes. Okay. Not much. I mean, we were mostly off, but we would start a planning. We would start a build probably this weekend, and we would be having a release the following week, which is 13th of January, week of 13th of Jan. And as mentioned, like we have systemd updated to 256, so that's a big change coming into the alpha. And we also would like you to, as mentioned in the share this tab. So yeah, so as mentioned in the starting of the meeting, we are starting to like deprecate the C groups v1. So if folks have any issues, please do reach out to our matrix channel, Slack channel, or whichever communication channel you are on, and we would be happy to resolve that. But other than that, I think it's mostly empty on the sides of what's new coming into. Yeah. Anything else that folks you would like to add here? other than the systemd and the systemd change?
I think we talked about the new LTS. So do we plan to release it in January?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I should add that in the draft section as well. But yeah, I'll start a issue for that as well, so that we can track all the bigger changes that are getting worked on. Cool. Cool. That's all from my side.
Thanks,
Over to
Sam.
Ben.
So that concludes the items on the agenda. So let's open the stage if someone wants to add anything before we finish the meeting. Going once, going twice. So I guess we'll see us all in 2 weeks in the developer sync. All right.
Okay. See you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Hey, folks.